Yes mates, my name's Lee. Welcome back to the channel for another FPL video. Tonight is the deadline for Gameweek 1, it's at 6:30. So if you've not got your team sorted, make sure to get him in. Hopefully this video helps give you some inspiration and kind of makes you think about some future planning. So if it does help, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, all that kind of jazz. Let's rock and roll. Right, so first off we've got the defence and the keepers. I've gone for Danny Ward at the minute, but I've seen some reports this morning that he hasn't trained for quite a while. So I am leaning more towards Iverson. I only seen that this morning before I'd already made this. So that's one to keep your eye open for. Ward is a 4 million keeper. Iverson is also surprisingly 4 million as well. I have got a 4.5 million keeper on my bench, and that's just so they can rotate well between them. Danny Ward's got a nice opening fixture against Brentford. I think there's a decent chance they're going to keep a clean sheet. Leicester are a better side than people think they are. Like, you need to almost write last season off. They do struggle with European and extra fixtures, so now they can focus on the league. They've got 1 week to prepare in between games. I think they're going to be a really good option. I mean, you got like Justin Castagne, Pereira's out for a little bit still. They've still got really nice defensive options, and I think Danny Ward coming at 4 mil is a bit like, he reminds me a bit to Ben Foster last season. I think once he's fit, he's going to be the starter. But for the first opening 2 or 3, it's going to be Iverson. So it depends which one you want to go for. Are you happy to play your 4.5 million keeper? I've got Sanchez on the bench, and I'll talk about that later. But they've got Man United opening game. I don't mind if Ward doesn't play and Sanchez does come in, but I would rather have a Leicester keeper against Brentford. So I might swap that for Iverson. Onto defence. Trent's still in there from last time. I mean, he is who he is. He's an absolute monster. They've got Fulham away. He's owned by nearly 60% of teams. Clean sheets, attacking returns. I think he's arguably the most essential player in the game. Next on to Cancelo. West Ham away is a tricky game, and I think they'll be up for it. I'm not even sure if City are going to keep a clean sheet. They didn't look that fit against Liverpool, and I know Liverpool are a different beast to West Ham. But I think West Ham are going to come flying out the box, and they'll be really up for the game. And I can see them getting a goal against City. The reason why he's in there is for his future games. If like City have got some really nice games for the first opening 6 weeks or so he's in there straight away. Now I'm on to 2 defenders now that I'm not entirely sure are even going to make my team. They're in there now just because I like them so much, Perisic and Trippier. If Perisic is fit, and Conte came out yesterday and didn't really help with his comments, I thought he was going to come out and be like, yeah, 100% Perisic is starting, but no, he didn't. He was like, it's touch and go. We like Cess, and then on the other side with Doc, and then they're like, oh yeah, we've got Emerson and Jed Spence, and I just thought he was going to come out and be like, these are my starting 2 fullbacks, and I'm just going to rock from there. But no, he didn't. So he's someone I can play about with, and I'm not sure who to go for if I don't get him. If I didn't have Perisic, I would go more premium, I think. But I'll talk about that later on. He's owned by nearly 28% of managers. That's massive decrease from the beginning of the game. That's just fitness concerns. I think he's worth the risk. My only issue is that he's got City in game week 2. You just play him and you just kind of power through that because it's only 1 game and they've got really nice fixtures after that. That's always an option. Or just keep him for the 1 and transfer him out. I don't think it's worth the transfer. I would keep him in. Just kind of power through the Chelsea game, and it's just one of those. Same with Trippier as well. They've got Forest at home, then Brighton away, I think, is their next game, and then they've got some really tough games after that. I think game week 3 is City, then they've got a decent game, and then Liverpool, if I'm not mistaken there. But I just think he's going to be a really good option this season. I want him in, like I really want to pick him, and it's I think it's just one of those. Like it's kind of like it's like a poor man's Trent, if you want to call him that. He's on all set pieces. He's gonna get goals. He's gonna get assists, and I think they will keep the odd clean sheet. Like they were decent under Eddie Howe towards the back end of the season, and I wouldn't write them off for clean sheet potential. I just think he's a really good option, and it doesn't surprise me that he's in 20% of teams. Right, okay, onto the midfield, and first thing you can see from last time is I've completely changed the team. I didn't have Salah last time. I've gone back in for him. You need him, don't you? It's a bit of FOMO, I think. Yeah, he's going to be my captain for this week as well. I think he's the best captaincy option, and I was kind of trying to assess things. And as much as I like Sonny and Kane, They've got Chelsea game week 2, whereas Salah's got Palace, so that's 2 nice fixtures in a row, and I couldn't justify having those in when they've got a tough game in game week 2, when I could always just transfer them in game week 3, where captaincies are like a bit up in the air against Wolves, Spurs against Wolves. So I'm more inclined to not so much transfer Salah out, but rejig the structure of the team, so I can get Son or Kane in for that captaincy option against Wolves. I mean, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on him. He scores an absolute ton of goals, and the way they're kind of setting up the season, I think he's going to start a bit wider. I don't think it's going to impact his attacking potential. And you've kind of seen Trent kind of come more central, a bit like Cancelo does for City on the opposite side. And I just think Trent's going to get a load of assists, Salah's going to get a load of goals. He's still on penalties. And then his opening day record for the past 5 years has just been unreal. Like, you have to start him. Have to. So then, in order to do that, I've got a couple of enablers there. I've got Martinelli and Bailey. I just think Martinelli is worth that 2 million saving on Saka. As much as the rotation risk is, I think he'll start the first 3 or 4 games, and then you can start to assess it from there. I would start with Martinelli. I think he's a better option than Saka. We don't really know who's on penalties. It looks like a case of whoever wins it takes it, and that's just one of those. I really like him as an option 6 now. I think he's the best option at 6 mil and under, and he's essential for me. And he's one of the players that's locked into my team now. Bailey, he's looked unreal in pre-season. He's looked absolutely electric, and I think he's going to be playing out wide right. Villa haven't looked great going forward since Gerrard's took over, so I'm hoping that he's going to come in, and because he was injured a lot last season, he's going to come in and just kind of explode. He's a bit of a gamble, but he's only 5 mil. I think he's worth the gamble. They've only got three good fixtures in a row. I think it's Bournemouth, Everton, and I forgot the third. And then they've got some really tough games, so you kind of need a plan after that. So I'll talk about my plan later, which brings me on to Sterling. He's probably my biggest differential in the side, and he's the one that I'm kind of most debating on. That kind of Sterling, Perisic, Trippier. I could take funds from Sterling, drop them down into either of those, but I just think he just looks like a really good option, and that's the same issue I've got with Perisic, because they play Spurs in game week 2. I've essentially got an attacker against a defender, which I don't always like, but I just think he's going to play really well. I think he'll occupy the left inside forward position. I think he'll tuck in quite a lot. So I'm looking at those cutbacks from Chilwell and James. I think he's going to score a lot of those kind of tap-in style goals. He's a really good player. We don't really know who's on penalties. I can imagine if Jorginho's on the pitch, then Sterling might take them. And if he does, I think he could be looking at 15-20 goals for the season. And it's a bit optimistic, but you've got to take some chances somewhere, haven't you? And then the forward line. If you've not checked out my last video comparing Haaland against Kane, I'll leave something up here somewhere. Check it out. I thought it was a really interesting video, and I read some really interesting stats from that. I initially had Kane, and what I found was when I started with Kane, I was constantly flipping back and forward to Kane, from Kane to Haaland, Haaland to Kane, and it was just wasting my transfers. Whereas if I hold Haaland for the first 2, swap to Kane in game week 3 against Wolves, that's a better use of my transfers, I felt. So start with Haaland. West Ham away isn't a bad game. I can see that being a relatively high scoring game. West Ham don't concede massive amount of goals, but I can see a 3-1, I can see a 2-2, something like that, and I can see Haaland bagging a goal. And going over Kane for that, I'm not sure if Kane's going to score many more than Haaland over those first 2. Especially when they've got Chelsea in that second one, and you're going to want a City attacker for that Bournemouth game, like he's captaincy option for game week 2. So that's kind of my planning in place, and I'll kind of take the hits with that if that's one of those. And then Jesus, I think is a decent option, and what puts me off not having him is his ownership, and you need to be really careful with him, because if you don't have him, then 75.5% of managers are going to get those points and essentially like near enough goal above you, so you need to be really careful with him. Ideally, I wouldn't have him. I would much rather have someone like Wilson. I think Wilson's a better striker, and it's a bit more of a short-term option. I think Jesus will do well, but my only problem I've got is if he doesn't score against Palace, I think his price is just going to absolutely plummet, and I can see him being like a 7.5 if the season doesn't start well for him. I think he will start okay, to be honest with you, so everything I've just said then, just completely get rid of. I think he will start relatively well, and I think he'll have a decent season. If he can get 15-20 goals, all comps, I think that'll be a really good season for him. So on the bench, I've got Sanchez from Brighton, Andreas Pereira, Patterson from Everton, who's going to come in for Trippier in game week 3, and then Archer from Villa, who's just going to be my third choice on the bench. And then on the left hand side, I've got some watch list players. I really want Doc. I'm not 100% convinced on his fitness. I was hoping for more from Conte yesterday. I would still consider either dropping down Perisic or Trippier to Doherty, but I think Perisic is a better option if he's fit. As for the Robertson and Mount situation, I have considered dropping Sterling down to Mount, Trippier up to Robertson, which I think is a really nice kind of thing to do. I'm not sure if Sterling is worth that 2 million more than Mount, and Robertson is such an upgrade on Trippier over the long term. I think Trippier's got the best opening day fixture of any player. They've got really good clean sheet potential. I think he's on set pieces. He's always got a chance of a goal and assist. I think he's the best player to have game week 1, Trippier. But then where do you go from there? And then I've got Callum Wilson on there as well, which same again because I've got Forest. I would rather have Callum Wilson than Jesus. But I can't hide away from that ownership, and that's something that's worrying me about him, and that's the reason why I feel like I need to have him. So that's the team I've got so far. Kind of like my plan going forward. I explained it a little bit as I was going through. I'm not going to make any transfers. I'm not going to plan any transfers till game week 3, and then I've got 2 in the bank. I'm probably going to make 3 and take a -4. So that's going to be Haaland to Kane, probably Sterling down to whatever 8 million mid is doing well, and then maybe upgrade someone in defence or anywhere else on the pitch to kind of give me some more flexibility that way. That's the reason why I've gone for Sterling as opposed to anyone else. I like his price point. I can almost drop down to any midfielder in the game. I could still get Bruno, and like if Bruno's banging, I could get Jared Bowen. I think he's got decent fixtures after that tough game. Any of the 8 million mids. And then I could always drop money elsewhere. Like I could always downgrade a Haaland and upgrade Sterling to Son. And I don't think that's as easy to do if you've got a different combination of players. I'm not sure who I'd take Haaland down to right now. I haven't given that much thought. That was just fresh off the dome special for you. And yeah, I quite like that idea actually. Haaland down, upgrade Sterling to Son. That's not bad actually. I quite like it. I do quite like it. I could even do both. I could even go. I could go Cancelo down to a 5 mil, Sterling up to Son, Haaland to Kane, which I quite like again actually. I do quite like that. So I'm not gonna get Doherty and Perisic. I'm only gonna get one because I don't want to lock myself out of that, which I'm always conscious of. Like I've only got 2 Liverpool players now. As much as I want Robertson, I don't want to lock myself out of someone like a Darwin Núñez. So that's the kind of thing I'm looking at there. Right, so here's my current team. So kind of what I was thinking is game week 1, have the lineup I was thinking about, but then I was also considering something like dropping Sterling down to Mount wherever he is, upgrading even Trippier. Like as much as I was bigging him up a minute ago, I would still consider getting rid of him if it meant I could get something like that. But then I've got nothing in the bank, which I didn't have anyway. And I do quite like that as an overall side. I think that's a good side. I think that's a really strong side. There's a few 5.5 million mids that I quite like. I don't mind Neto. People like him more than I probably do. I quite like Aronson from Leeds. I was watching some highlights of him the other day. It's against Cagliari. I'm not sure I'd say that. Cagliari. And the RS Serie B side, but like he just looked electric. He got 3 assists. He looked like he was on all set pieces actually. I don't know if that's something that's going to stay. I don't know who else was playing in the game, but he took a free kick that somebody scored from. They scored a header from it, and he was making quite direct, powerful runs. To be fair to him, and I thought he was playing quite well. So in terms of captaincy for the next few weeks, Salah game week 1, Haaland game week 2, and then do the transfer I was talking about. So probably, I might have a quick play about actually. Let's get Trippier back. So it's going to be potentially, it's probably going to be Sterling down, Sterling and Cancelo down, and I'm not sure who I'm looking at really. I wouldn't mind, I might go Zinchenko, you know. Game week 3, Bournemouth, Fulham, Villa. I could go Zinchenko in. Zinchenko. Sonny. Hopefully Sonny's not going up in price by this point. And then maybe even Kane. I think that's quite a strong side. And I know I've got no sitter, which is my only worry. And I could do that for -4. And who have they got? Scott Carson. Newcastle, Palace, Forest. I'd consider bringing Haaland back in for Forest and Villa. I'm looking to wildcard about 5, 6, 7. That's what I'm thinking. Game week 8, as much as it's nice, like it splits it in 2 and it's the international break, there aren't many fixture swings, and I'm not going to load up on all these kind of mid-table, bottom half sides. Like I think Leicester have got a good run from then, and they're not a bad side, but I don't want to be loading up on them. There's a couple of sides that have got decent fixtures after that. I'm still going to pick a relatively similar side, and that's the issue I've got from it. So I would rather wildcard early and look out for those teams that or those players that are playing really well, or the teams that are in form that I can highlight quite early on. Whereas I'm not being that risky early on, and maybe I could take more of a risk, and the wild card could always bail me out, which I've seen a few people do, and it is a viable option. So if you are doing that, if you are taking a bit more risk, I would consider the early wild card. If not, I would try and delay it as long as you can and try and make some planning and kind of go from there. But anyway, that's been me. That's it for the video today. I hope you've enjoyed it. If this is the kind of thing you like, I'm going to try and do as many as I can throughout the season. I'll be doing at least one in between each game week. I'm going to try and do 2 or 3, but just with work and everything, like it does get in the way. But I'm going to try and do it. So if this is something you like, please subscribe to the channel. Like the video, leave a comment, let's have a little chat. Tell me what team you're having. And yeah, can't wait for tonight. Let's roll on half 6. Whack 'em all. Peace and love, man.